Good afternoon, I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
We welcome you to our midday meditation. Today we're in Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16 through the end of the chapter. Tyler?
Bind up the testimony, set the law among my disciples, and I will wait on the Lord who hides his face from the house of Jacob. And I will hope in him. Here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, who dwells in Mount Zion. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? To the law and the testimony, if they do not speak according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. They will pass through it hard-pressed and hungry, and it shall happen when they are hungry that they will be enraged and curse their king and their God, and look upward. Then they will look to the earth and see trouble and darkness, gloom of anguish, and they will be driven into darkness.
Okay. So, interesting thing here with the trouble that's fixing to come. Isaiah gives the direction to bind up and to seal the testimony and teaching that he's giving among his disciples. We talk about disciples, every prophet, like Isaiah, Elijah, Elisha, they had the schools of prophets, they had followers, disciples, whatever. And so this is just a common thing. But why seal it up? What he says there, see, I and the children whom the Lord has given me. That also kind of echoes in the book of Hebrews, chapter 2. But he says there's signs and portents in Israel from the Lord of hosts. The sign is the teaching of the faithful. That is a sign there. And I don't have anything against miracles. Lest anybody watching think, oh, Brian doesn't believe in me. I believe in miracles. At the end of the day, though, if you raise someone from the dead, but you tell me something that is an exact contradiction of what Jesus himself says, I know you're from the devil. But he raised someone from the dead. Yeah, that's the point. The word of the Lord is what they're supposed to go to. That's why he makes the point. When God turns his face and he's not listening to Israel because of their rebellion, to Judah because of their rebellion, then people will say, well, go to spirits, go to mediums, go to this, go to that. Get an answer somewhere. And what that looks like in the churches today. It's like the guy that goes to his doctor. He goes, doctor, every time I do this, my arm hurts. And his doctor looks at him and says, what, Tyler?
Don't do this then.
Yeah, don't do this then. Right? And so he doesn't like what that doctor says. So he goes to another doctor, says it again. That doctor says, quit doing that. Then he finally goes to a third doctor, and the third doctor says, here, let me shoot you up with steroids, give you painkillers, and you will put you in physical therapy for the next 10 years. And the person goes, oh, thank you so much. I just want someone to help me make it not hurt. That's how a lot of people live their faith. They go to church and they're like, we don't like what you're saying. So then they go to another church. We don't like what he's saying. Then they go to a third church. Oh, we like what he says. Why? Because they didn't want to do what the simple solution was. Now they want to do something that's not actually a solution, but because it satisfies their flesh. You say, no. If your arm does this and it hurts, quit doing it. First of all, and you say that's just an old joke. I know it's an old joke, but the joke is true. Every time I hit my thumb with a hammer, it hurts, doctor. Then quit hitting your thumb with the hammer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm a carpenter and I have to use hammers, and sometimes my thumb is in the way.
Get your thumb out of the way.
Get your thumb out of the way. But no, instead of that, people say, I'm going to find someone that can actually help me. Because that doesn't help me. And they'll go through, and that's what Israel did. They went through everybody till they found people that would say what they wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tyler, I've told you to quit hitting your thumb with a hammer. Technically, I'm not a thumb doctor. I don't have a degree in thumbology.
Me either.
So I'm going to send you to a thumb expert after you get 19 CT scans of your thumb and 28 MRIs with 46 X-rays. And we'll schedule you 200 appointments to come back in to get your thumb checked so that we can bill you for all of them. And when I'm done, because I'm not a thumb expert and I'm not a carpentry expert, it's possible that I could be missing something other than quit hitting your thumb with the hammer. We're going to send you to a thumb expert. And then he'll refer you to the surgeon. And then they'll refer you to the pain clinic so that you can keep hitting your thumb with a hammer, but it'll no longer hurt. And some of you are sitting there right now and you're going, Brian, you're being ridiculous. No, I'm really not. That is how a lot of people live their faith. And how do I know that? Because that's how a lot of people live their lives. Every time I do this, it causes me pain and frustration. Then quit. No, I can't stop. You just need to give me something to make it not hurt. And that was a problem with ancient Israel. We're not blessed. We don't have as much money. We don't have as much prosperity. Our children aren't born as healthy as they used to be. Our livestock has trouble. And the prophets come along and they go,
I wonder why.
Quit following false gods and turn back to the real God. No, that doesn't solve our problem. Yeah, it does.
Maybe you should try it and see if it does.
No. Because they were wanting their symptoms solved. So that they could continue with the source of their problem, but have none of the hassle of it. And why? Because they wouldn't listen to the basic common sense word of the Lord in the first place. You have some other thoughts on this?
On this, no, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir. Except don't hit your thumb with the hammer.
Yeah, don't hit your thumb with the hammer. If you do, make sure you're using the right hammer. Make sure you're using the right nail. And make sure you're holding the hammer properly. And if you got all those correct, then go check with your eye doctor to make sure your vision is on track. Because if you've got all those other things right, you should not be hitting your thumb with a hammer. But I'm not a thumbologist, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a general contractor licensed with the state. So there might be a different way to make that work.
Possibly.
But from my grandfather, who was a master craftsman and a master carpenter, and who was a general contractor for 40 years, that was pretty much his take every time. Move your thumb, have the right hammer, hold it the right way, and make sure you know what you're going to hit with the hammer. So with that, I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
We bid you good afternoon.